All right, welcome back, everyone. This is session 16, meeting of Prevent Type 2 Diabetes, the CDC's Lifestyle Change Program. Today, we're going to talk about staying motivated over the next 6 months. Does anybody have any questions or anything that they want to add about last week's lesson? And that was on Eat Well Away from Home. All right. So I want to talk about the action plan that you made last week. So I want to kind of discuss was anybody successful with their action plan last week? Did anything go well, or what didn't go well?
Well, I had to go to Oxford Monday, and I did go out and get something to eat. It was a healthy option, but I chose to only eat part and put the other away and take it home. And so that was something I had been doing, but I was planning on making it more a part of my normal routine. And so I was glad I was able to do that.
Great. Anybody else have anything? All right. So staying motivated over the next 6 months can help you prevent or delay type 2 diabetes. So, today we're going to discuss how far you've come since you've started this program, what our next steps are, and your goals for the next 6 months. I want to look at how far you've come since you've started this program 6 months ago. So, take time, reflect at where you was at 6 months ago and where you are right now. What are some, if y'all would, just this open discussion, what are some healthy changes that you have made in your eating habits from when you first started to now?
This is Dr. Rayford. Okay. So
Go ahead.
I've been tracking my food more consistently, and I can tell the difference. I'm not losing a ton of weight, but I do feel better.
Mm-hmm. I've noticed in my personal um, diet, I have started clean eating and tried to eliminate sweets and incorporate drinking more water and not necessarily going for a Dr. Pepper or a sweet tea. I've kind of tried to train myself. Let's have a different option. So I kind of want to go over also what healthy changes have you made with fitness?
This is Sheila. I've started parking on the second level in the employee parking garage, and I take the stairs up, and I notice that I have more um, strength and stamina to be able to take the stairs.
That's great. Building your endurance up. That's great.
This is Dr. Rayford. I noticed that, I've actually been increasing the intensity of my exercises, and I can tell the difference. Instead of spending a long time doing it, I've adjusted the intensity, and I'm getting a better better result out of the exercise by pushing myself more to increase the intensity. And over the last few years, I've just kind of been at a steady rate, and I hadn't necessarily improved my performance. And changing the intensity has helped, and I feel better. I feel better with after a shorter amount of exercise.
From the chat, we have one that noted they are more intentional about eating their fruits and vegetables on a regular basis.
and then one that has limited snacking and has been exercising at least 1 hour a day for 4 days a week on most weeks. And others are tracking more in regard to their vegetable and water intake.
Those are all great. And I'm glad, Dr. Rayford, you mentioned that about pushing yourself a little bit more, going a little further, because we're going to touch a little bit on that today with today's session. So the next question, and I really want y'all to focus on the word overcome. What challenges have you overcome to make those healthy lifestyle changes?
Dr. Rayford, one big thing that I've overcome is in over the last 3 or 4 years, or probably 3 years, but now I've felt better, and just kind of settled that. My goal was to kind of keep feeling good, to keep setting a good example, and to be as healthy as possible. And I've kind of finally overcome where the scale should fit in all of that. And it's a smaller role than it was early on. And with that, I'm starting to see some changes. So kind of seeing, me outside of a plateau. I mean, I'm not significantly outside of a plateau, but I am seeing some lower numbers, but it's not, dramatically lower numbers. We're talking 3 pounds or so. But I mean, just thinking about where I've been and where I've wanted to be, I feel a lot better about it. Definitely feel a lot better about the health habits, the nutrition, the exercise, the monitoring and things like that. So I feel better about it, although the scale isn't, wildly decreasing.
That's great. Some personal challenge for me, it was getting over the cravings for sweets. I really had to break that habit. I really had to overcome, that's a mental thought. I really don't want it that bad. And it wouldn't be that I was hungry. It was just that, I had made habit of having something sweet after, supper, or maybe having something sweet for lunch. I was at least incorporating something sweet into my day. So I've been, eliminating that. And also the mental harmful versus helpful thoughts. I know we went over that earlier in April, but I had a lot of harmful thoughts and negative thoughts. I can't lose weight that fast, or I really don't have the energy to do this afternoon. I'm tired. I was making excuses for myself, so I really had to break that habit too of saying, you know what, just get on it, just do it. So once I finally pushed that aside and would start, exercising, it became easier. You've come so far since you've started this program, and you've coped with many challenges along the way. Your next challenge is to stay motivated over the next 6 months. And we're going to look at an example. Does anybody want to volunteer and read Marie's story for me? That's on page 3 of this module's handout.
I'll read it. Marie is at risk for type 2 diabetes, so she decides to eat right and get advice. Marie works hard and sticks to her plan. As a result, she reaches her weight goal. She also reaches her activity goal. Strangely enough, once she reaches her goals, Marie doesn't feel quite as motivated. She starts sliding back to her old habits. Marie decides to take action. She thinks about how far she's come. She sets a new weight goal. And she commits to her healthy lifestyle all over again. She even gets her husband to join her. Today, Marie is back to feeling motivated. She plans to live a long and healthy life.
Thank you, Angel. So this is the big question I want to ask everyone and everybody. I want you to think about it really hard. What might you find challenging about staying motivated? Just throw some things out there for me. We're going to just discuss all of this and kind of get all of that off of our chest. What's challenging about it?
Just pre-planning, not staying prepared ahead of time, because it's convenience that I find that typically throws me off track.
Dealing with plateaus. What happens when you're doing all the things that you were you're hitting all of your goals, but you feel like some parameter is just stuck, and many times that plateau is how do you get through the plateau on the scale and keep from being really discouraged and letting it discouragement stop you from continuing to improve the health habits.
That's a big one. Anybody else have anything they want to add about what they find challenging about this? What is making it hard to stay motivated to get the goals or to progress like you want to? I'm going to throw a few that came to my mind at first. And I want to go back over each of these individually. So, as Dr. Rayford said, not so much seeing the results, but, being in a plateau, or maybe, you're not seeing the results that you want, or you're nowhere near your goal, which kind of goes along with the first point. You're burned out, you're bored. Maybe your support person has kind of gone silent. It's kind of been a while since they've touched base with you. And I've achieved my weight goal. So, what happens when you're already there? So, in not seeing the results, I kind of come up with, I've identified my hiccups, as I'm going to call, or my hurdles. I'm not seeing the results. So, what can I do? What can I identify to change those results, change that process? Maybe I need to keep a food diary of what I'm eating to stay on track. Or maybe I need to make the most out of my workouts. Maybe I've been, as some people will say, sandbagging. Maybe I'm not performing at my most when I'm working out. And consistency. Am I being consistent with how I eat, working out? Mental thoughts, am I thinking helpful things instead of harmful things? Nowhere near your goal. You know what? That's okay, because some of us aren't anywhere near our goal. And that's just something we need to reflect on, because we're at the 6-month point. What can we identify that we're doing wrong and can change to make into something positive the next 6 months? What can I work on to get me there? Burn out, you're bored. So how about, mixing it up? Get out of that repetitious routine that's become monotonous for you. Maybe, on Tuesdays and Thursdays, I'll go and walk, but let's make Monday. Somebody want to say something? And with that, just kind of mixing up your workout routine, incorporating, different workouts. Maybe your support person hasn't been talking to you lately. Reach out to them. Reach out to your accountability partner, ask how they're going, and rekindle the conversation. Maybe, tell them what you're struggling with and what you would like for them to, and that you would really appreciate their support to really reach out to you and remind you, you know what, you're not alone in this. I'm here for you. This group is here for you. We're going to do this together. I'm going to be sure that I text you, or I'm going to be sure that I call you maybe 10 minutes of, your evening, and we can talk about it, discuss it, just to kind of revamp that motivation in you. And I've achieved my weight goal. That's great. Celebrate it. You've earned it. You've made this accomplishment. Now let's strive for another goal. Make another action plan. Maybe if you wanted to lose more weight, push yourself, set new limits. Maybe you wanted to, maybe you've lost 10 pounds. Well, do you want to lose 10 more? Do you want to kind of build endurance? Do you want to go from walking 1 mile to stretching it out and maybe eventually getting to 2 miles? Do you want to go from a 30-minute workout to, like someone said earlier, they're doing an hour workout a day for 4 days a week? Push your limits. Set new goals for yourself. Does anybody want to add anything else that they may have thought of that would be a good idea to help?
You can add something fun to it. So Noom calls it habit bundling. So combining something that you want to do with something that you should do. So for some people, if they really like Netflix, combining watching episodes of their favorite Netflix show with exercising on the treadmill or exercising on the stationary bike, so that you actually help yourself accomplish things. For me, when I do my runs, and I run a lot, I find that what makes it even better is I listen to audiobooks. I listen to huge, long, multi-hour audiobooks, and I preferentially listen to the majority of the audiobooks while I'm running. And that's actually something that, I now running and listening to the audiobooks are so entwined that it's just a part of it, that I'm listening to really, really interesting things and running too. So I bundle my habits, and that can be something that can be helpful, particularly if it's something that you're not, if you want to get started with, you're just not, the motivation isn't there to kind of do it. And at some point, that'll kind of improve the motivation. That, with if watching Netflix is, motivating, that can kind of improve. Hey, I have to be on the treadmill, or I need to be on the stationary bike.
That's a great suggestion. Kind of getting lost in it so that you almost feel like you're not doing it because you're enjoying that part of your workout time. That's a good idea.
One thing that's in a way the opposite of what Dr. Rayford said is to unbundle things that contribute to you eating worse. For instance, you may just naturally, when you sit down to watch the news, have a piece of pie or something with you, some type of snack, and that almost, whether you're hungry, craving the sweet or not, by sitting down to watch the news, when you always get a piece of pie, the habit part. So unbundling the things that contribute. A lot of people, when they have their morning coffee, might have a donut with it or something, and it's kind of separating those things or unbundling. And then, like Dr. Rayford said, get a healthy thing to do linked to something you like to do, and kind of create that new bundle.
Right.
I have a couple of things from the chat. Let me get caught up on the chat. We did have somebody said that they've stopped drinking sugary drinks in the past several months. Just cut that out. And then others were enforcing the words of "I can't" and changing it to something that you can overcome. So now that she says, I can say I can, I am, I did, and I celebrate every small win. Not wait until you've lost whatever your weight goal is, but celebrating forward movement and small steps along the way, and really
Yes.
celebrate the big steps.
Mm-hmm. Yes, the small steps count. Any progression that you've achieved at this point, I mean, that is something to celebrate. That is something, you've earned that. You've come a little bit. It may not be all the way, but you've at least progressed. I do want to emphasize, the small steps are big too. So I want to read this to y'all. Take pride in how far you've come and have faith in how far you can go. I want to encourage you all to stick with it. We all face challenges and we all hit a low point. But when we reflect on how we've progressed, we need to identify the weak spots and focus on overcoming them. That is so important. Let's focus on where we want to go, what we want out of this, and just overcoming those barriers. I want to look at where we're headed in the next 6 months. So these are some of the topics that we're going to discuss with the next 6 months. We're going to discuss when weight loss stalls. That's going to be our next one. Taking a fitness break, staying active away from home, more about carbs, having healthy food that you can enjoy, getting enough sleep, getting back on track, and preventing type 2 diabetes for life. So, and I want to kind of go over how the group will meet. And if I get this wrong, Dr. Rayford or Rebecca or Miss Angel, just speak up. So we have already been meeting once a week for 4 months. So now we're going to start changing it up. We're going to meet every other week for the next 2 months. So that'll be session 17 to 20. So our next session will be May the 11th and May the 25th, and then June the 8th and June the 22nd. And when we hit July, then we will start meeting once a month to finish it out.
That's correct.
So we've discussed this group's next steps. Let's talk about your next step. So please look at your goals for the next 6 months. And that's on page 4 of the module handouts. So as you can see, your activity goal for the next 6 months is unchanged. We still want to get at least 150 minutes of activity each week at a moderate pace or more. But you may or may not want to revise your goal plan. So down here at the bottom in this box, if you want to make a mental note, make a Post-it note, something that strikes a fire in you. So I weigh blank pounds. You need to decide, do you want to lose weight? And if so, write down the weight that you will reach. Or do you want to maintain your weight? Do you want to, so write that in there. I want to stay at blank pounds. So that's just something for y'all to each think about and make your mind up yourself. So I also want you to look at your action plan journal. Take a few minutes and make your new action plan for the next week. I want you to keep in mind what has worked and what hasn't worked well for you since our last session. Are there any changes that you want to make? As you make your plan, remember, make it realistic, doable, specific, and flexible. Remember to focus on your behaviors and try to have fun with this. In this little box over to the right, it really helps narrow it down for you and get specific. Where will I do it? When will I do it? How long will I do it? Think about the challenges that you might face and then identify ways to cope with those challenges. Already be prepared for if you hit those challenges. What will I do next? What can I do to overcome that? So between now and the next session, please complete Celebrating Your Success, which is on page 5 of your handout. Write in the column that says other ways to celebrate and check off each idea as you try. So over here are some examples. And I know a big one is post then and now photos of yourself. And some people do this on social media. That's a great way of really, kind of getting some motivation through people. Say, wow, you've done great, that you look great, stay with it, stick with it. Tell your friends about your friends, your family, coworkers, people who support you. Tell them about what you've done, what you've accomplished. I know a big one would be, if you have lost weight, try on your before clothes. That really solidifies I'm doing something and I feel good and I'm really actually making healthier changes for myself. And some people give yourself a small non-food reward for reaching each goal. I'd like to also for y'all to complete how to cope with challenges, which is on page 6 and 7. This is another way you can also write down ways to cope and check off each idea that you try. And we've hit on a few of these already earlier, but it gives you examples. Like if you're bored, like Dr. Rayford was saying, excuse me, work out while you watch TV or listen to podcasts. Maybe you have a coworker that's trying to do the same thing, get them involved, have them to work out with you. Try a fitness app. Take part in a friendly competition. I think I've mentioned before my Apple Watch. There's a little activity on here that you can click on, and if there's somebody that you're linked or synced to, I have a friend in Oxford, we challenge, it's a friendly competition, but we challenge each other for 7 days at a time, and it keeps you updated with how far they've come, and how far you are. So it kind of like gives you an insight on, they're doing this today. I need to go home and work out so that I can keep up. I can do this. The next one is this group meets less often than it used to. We're fixing to get to that point where we're not going to meet as often. And so it's really important to attend all the sessions you can so that you can, get more information, find support every time that you get here to stay motivated. Maybe you need to reach out to a few other people, family, friends, get, several support people in your life. And we've touched base on this. I've lost a lot of weight, or I've already reached my goal. That's great. Remind yourself the benefits of eating right and being active. Make yourself a new goal. Another one has talked about my weight loss has slowed down. Well, you know what? Track your activities. See if you're not going as far as you used to go, or maybe you want to build muscle at this point. Burn more calories. Maybe you want to increase the burning more calories or take in fewer calories. Tracking what you eat or drink. That's another way. Or I've made less progress than I have expected, and we've talked about that too. Look at how far you've come. Make that new action plan and make sure you're tracking things the right way. So stay positive. We're here for you. Definitely reach out to those that, that's your accountability partner, a coworker, a friend, family member. get to talking to them, tell them, you know what, I really want to accomplish this. So I'm going to need your help to really get me through this. But that is all I have today. Does anybody have any questions?
I just have a comment just for record keeping. There's one person that it doesn't show their name. It just says call in user number 2. So everybody, if you'll look at participants and make sure your name's showing, and if you're the phone-in caller, just let Angel know who you are so we make sure you get proper credit, because sometimes it shows names and sometimes it doesn't. But they do show one that just says call in user 2. So everybody else, we can get your name from the participant list.
So next week, I want to touch on this. We're going to talk about when weight loss stalls. So that's going to be a great session to attend. Or the next time will be May the 11th. So any questions? Anybody want to add anything about what we talked about today? What we want to look forward to for the next 6 months?
One last reminder, just don't forget to send in the tracking that we do as far as weight and minutes that Angel keeps up with. So you only have to do that on the days that we meet. So you won't have to send anything next week. But if you hadn't sent something this morning or weighed in this morning or plan to weigh in tonight or in the morning, just send that in and we'll get that recorded as well to help you track your weight.
All right. Well, thank y'all all for coming to this session.